What the hell? What just happened? Dun 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 dun. Interesting. Okay, so we're live. We're live. So today we are going to build a JavaScript pop-up, a cookie consent, right?
Hey there, I am super excited to bring you this essential JavaScript concepts module. We're going to be taking the knowledge you've already got and building on it with the essential concepts that you need to really turbocharge your coding skills. Who am I? My name is Tom Chant and I will be your teacher for this module. Let's talk about what we're going to build. We have 3 super cool projects to work on. First up, we have got the world's most annoying cookie consent, a really nasty pop-up that will frustrate our visitors and force them to accept our evil terms and conditions. Next, we will go feline with Pumpkin's perfect meme picker. Pumpkin is Scrimba's mascot cat, and with this app you can select an emotion and see a cat meme that matches your mood. Lastly, let's clone one of the most important websites on the internet, Twitter. Now at the end of this module, there will be a solo project. You'll be putting your new skills to the test building this restaurant ordering app. But we have got a fair way to go before we get to that, and before we start, why don't you head over to Discord and let the community know that you're starting this module in the Today I Will channel. This slide is a clickable link and it will take you right there. And then, when you're ready, let's get started.
Let's go. World's most annoying cookies.
We are going to build the world's most annoying cookie consent pop-up. Just like all irritating cookie consents, this one is going to pop up right when you're just getting into the content, which is an exciting pitch to improve your coding skills super fast. Let's just check it out. So we've got some really nice clickbait here, loads of promises about how easy it is to learn to code and how rich you can get, and just when you're getting into reading the article, bam, this pop-up is going to appear right in the middle of this page. It's going to demand your name and email address, and it will offer you accept or decline. But with some clever CSS, the decline button will always be out of your reach. When you give in and sign up, it's going to tell you it's selling your data, and to add insult to injury, it's going to laugh in your face at the end of the process. Now we've got a load of HTML and CSS already written, and you're welcome to pause now and have a look through that. There's actually nothing new going on as yet. It should all look fairly familiar. Now I just want to bring you back to the previous screenshot where we have got these input fields. Now these inputs and these buttons are inside an HTML form element. You are going to come across HTML forms a lot in your career, and knowing how to use them is a key web developer skill. Wrapping inputs in HTML form tags allows us to treat that group of inputs as a single entity and handle the data collected quickly and efficiently, whether we're using it on the front end or sending it off to a server. Forms are also good for accessibility, so a really useful skill. Now we are mostly looking at JavaScript in this course, but there is a bit of CSS to deal with along the way, and in fact we need to start off with some CSS. Now it might seem a bit strange to start a JavaScript module with some CSS, but in order to get this modal up and running and into its correct position, we need to take a look at CSS position fixed. So we're going to do that in the very next scrim, and then we will get right into the JavaScript, and we have got a lot of JavaScript to look at along the way. We are going to see the set timeout method to control when our code executes. We'll be setting the style on elements. We'll work with HTML forms and some special form data methods to work with the data we get from those forms. We'll look at something called the event, and we'll look at prevent default, which will stop the browser behaving in strange and unwanted ways. we'll look at another piece of really cool CSS called row reverse, and look at how we can toggle classes on particular elements, and also look at the disabled attributes. Now, if anything or everything on that list is totally unfamiliar or sounds difficult, don't worry. We are going to take everything step by step. Okay, let's get stuck into the little bit of CSS that we need to make this pop-up display where we want it to. When you're ready, let's go.
Let's go. Okay, let's go. Position fix. Let's see what do they have here.
Let's look at how we can use position fixed to take an element out of the regular flow of elements on the page and get more control over where we position it. Usually, when we build a page, the elements are positioned in the order in which they appear in the HTML. So, unless we're doing something really clever with CSS or JavaScript, the order of elements follows the HTML from top to bottom and from left to right. So, we might start off with a header, we might have some content, perhaps some images side by side, down at the bottom, a footer. But what if we want to take an element outside of that flow and position it on top of other elements? Let's say we wanted to have a modal box which would look something like this. Well, that is what we're going to do using position fixed. Right here we've got the Scrimba Times, which brings you top-notch reporting on all things tech. We've got Facebook trying to buy us, we've got quantum computers managing to make divs stop overflowing with CSS, we've got the news that printers can actually smell fear and know when you're up against a deadline, and we bring you news that a hiring manager actually wrote a fair job spec. Now, all of this content is of course complete rubbish, but it is too good to give away for free. That is why I've created this paywall message, and I want to use this to stop users from enjoying our content unless they've paid up. Now, right now, this message is languishing right down here at the bottom of the page, and if we have a look at this HTML, we can see why. This is it down here. It's got the class pop-up, and it is the last div inside the body. So by the natural flow of HTML, it's rendered right at the bottom of the page. Let's take it out of that flow and just have it so it sits right here in the middle of the page. So I'm going to go over to index.css, and here we are, we've got the selector for the pop-up. And the first thing I'm going to do is come in here and put position fixed. And as soon as I do that, the paywall message completely disappears. So let's come underneath here, and now I'm going to set the top and the bottom properties to 0. And there we are, we have got that div back, it's on top of...
Position fix. Position fix. Right, I need a how can I say it? I need to write down how we're going to create this.
The other content, which is really cool. At the moment it's stuck up in the top left, which is not what we want. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to set the left and right properties also to 0. No change yet, but this is where the magic comes. I'm going to take the margin property and I'm going to set it to auto. And there we are. Now we have got the div holding this paywall message right in the center of the page. So let's just recap. What have we actually done here? Well, we've used position fixed to fix the position of this div relative to the viewport. That is the usable, visible part of the browser where the web pages are displayed. So that means that whatever we do, this div is always going to sit right here in the center of this viewport. If we scroll, it scrolls with us because the viewport does not change. The only way we can change the position of this without changing the CSS is to actually change the dimensions of the viewport. So if I, for example, make the browser shorter, well, now the center of the viewport moves, so our div moves. And if I put it back to where it was, we will get that div always staying right in the center of the viewport. So these CSS properties right here, using position fixed, setting left and right and top and bottom all to 0, and then the margin.
Right, I have to create like a folders where I can take notes. My pop-up is going to be ABCXYZ. Let me add some notes in here so that I can review it later. Call this Codictionary. So it's like a dictionary. Codictionary. Shanary, right? That sounds like a nice one. Copy the name. Codictionary. What is wrong? Codictionary. Codictionary is a code dictionary. Dictionary where I put my code components in. Right, let's do this and do H2, and we call this pop-up. Pop-up. Right. So what do we need? We need to create a div. HTML. Just copy this. Right, it's going to be copy this, put it in here. Copy this. Right, we have this. Nope, not that. Click. If you want to blah blah blah, click to sign up. Okay, click here to sign up. Yes, that is how I want it to be. Right, there we go. Then for the CSS, it's going to be, this one is need to be bold. Right, we delete this. And then we do CSS. Code this. So I don't need to remember all of it. Just need to do position fix. Right. We will actually practice this, and we do this. Boop. Boop. Position. It's going to help me long-term speaking. Fix. Position the page, the div to a relative. What is position fix? Say it again.
To auto set the top and the bottom properties to 0, and to set the left to the viewport. That is the usable, visible part of the browser where the web in the center of the page. So let's just recap. What have we actually done here? Well, we've used position fixed to fix the position of this div.
Position fix to fix the div to the relative
to the viewport.
But,
that is the usable
to the viewport, right? Now we do this. Top, down, top, bottom, left, right. I just copy this and put it into here so that we have code dictionaries. Genius. Probably the most genius idea you guys have heard, right? Right. margin 0. This is important. Important. Really, this is important. Must have. Call this must have. Right.
Visible part of the browser where the web pages are displayed. So that means that whatever we do, this div is always going to sit right here in the center of this viewport. If we scroll, it scrolls with us because the viewport does not change. The only way we can change the position of this without changing the CSS is to actually change the dimensions of the viewport. So if I, for example, make the browser shorter, well, now the center of the viewport moves, so our div moves. And if I put it back to where it was, we will get that div always staying right in the center of the viewport. So these CSS properties right here, using position fixed, setting left and right and top and bottom all to 0, and then the margin to auto, is a really neat way of just positioning a div right in the center of the page, regardless of the flow of other content. So try and remember these CSS properties right here.
Now we don't need to remember that. We have our coordinary. Wait, what? Coordinary. Should be coordinary, right? Coordinary. Coordinary. Now that sounds like a more slick name. Coordinary. Yes, coordinary. Sounds right.
Okay, so we're actually going to start off with a CSS challenge. If we have a quick look at the HTML, we can see that the modal box is right down here at the bottom of the HTML file. And that's why if we scroll down past all of our content, we find the modal box languishing at the bottom left-hand edge of the browser. What we're aiming for is this. We've got the modal box sitting on top of the other content. So here's your challenge. I want you to make the modal sit on top of the other content. Make sure it's centrally aligned, both horizontally and vertically, just like it is in the slide. And when it's positioned correctly, set its display property
to none. Right. So first we do position fix. Right, now it's going, it doesn't show yet because we haven't positioned it. Or we haven't told where it should be positioned. So it's relative to the viewport. And right now there's no viewport, right? There's the viewport, but I don't know how to explain that. But let's say here, it's just a thingy. Bottom, left, right. 0, and this, right. 0. Boop, margin, auto, and then at the end of it, when it's positioned, set it to display property to none. Display none, so that when we call it, it's going to happen. It's going to be a set timeout.
Okay, will flung out centrally aligned margin on top of everything else, right in the middle of our. So that is looking good. We need a way to unhide it using JavaScript. Remember, we want it to appear a couple of seconds after the user has opened the page, just when they're starting to enjoy the content. But how do we do that? If we come over here to index.js and just write a function, it will be executed instantly, not after a few seconds. So we need a way of using JavaScript to delay the execution of some code. So let's look at how we do that in the next scrim. If you've been looking for a way to delay the execution of your code, then set timeout is the method you've been waiting for. Normally, our code is read from top to bottom and executes in order. With set timeout, we can remove a block of code from that flow and have it execute later. Let's have a look at that in practice. I'm starting out making a general knowledge quiz site. At the moment, all I've got is these 3 console.logs. The first one asks a question, the second one gives the answer, and the third one asks the user if they're ready for the next question. I've got the console open down here, so let's hit save and see what happens. And there we are, it looks like...
Codinary should be like definition, right? Code is code. Components. Codinary sounds like a dog shit name now. Sounds like a dog shit name. Codinary is a code dictionary where I put my code components. Right, now we need to do... we have to do some definition. Well, we don't need to do that.
Like they all log out at the same time. In fact, they are logging out in order, question, answer, and then ready for the next question. Now, what I want to do is give the user some thinking time. So before the answer to the question appears, I want there to be a 3-second wait. And I can do that with set timeout. So I'm going to create a bit of space here, and I'm going to say set timeout. And set timeout is a method, so it needs these parentheses or brackets. We need to give it 2 things. We need to give it the function it's going to call and the delay, and that will actually be a time in milliseconds. Now what we can do here is name a function that we've already written somewhere else and just call it right here, or just like we do with event listeners, we can use an anonymous inline function. And that's what I'm going to do today. So all I need is the function keyword, the brackets, and then the curly braces. And then this delay expressing the number of milliseconds or thousandths of a second that set timeout should wait. So I want 3 seconds, so that will be 3,000 milliseconds.
3,000 milliseconds.
Now all we need to do is put the code that we want to execute right here in the...
Right, we just have to write this set timeout in Javascript. Call this code. And then here, down here is going to be JavaScript. And then we do definition is going to be set timeout. Oi, is how do you do we need to set timeout? Yep. And then it's going to be, it's going to have a function, open, close, commas, and then a delay. Right.
The body of this anonymous function. So let's just cut this answer and paste it right in here. Now when I hit save, keep an eye on the console and see what happens. So we get the question and ready for next question, and then
delay should be, how can I change this colors of this so that it's going to be somewhat like this, and then copy the same things. Should be in milliseconds. He said milliseconds. Units milliseconds. Right.
3 seconds later, Lima is logged out. So we can really see how set timeout removed this line of code from the regular flow. This line of code here, the final console.log, executed as normal. It didn't have to wait for this one to execute. So now we can actually execute code out of order. And that can be really useful for loads and loads of things. Now right now, we are logging out ready for next question before we've given the user the answer to the original question. So that doesn't work. What I want you to do then is to complete this challenge. I want you to make this third console.log fire 3 seconds after this answer appears. So pause now, think about that, get that working, you've got all of the syntax you need, and I'll see you 3 original question.
Make third console log fire after the answer appear. Oh, easy. Do we do the same things? Or should we create... How many delays can we have? Right. Let me see. Set timeout. And handles void. Handler void. And then what that is? Numbers. Timeout numbers. Well, we should do... I'm assuming there's a better way to do this. But we should repeat ourselves. Right, we do this. Commas 3000, another 3000. 6,000.
Doesn't work. What I want you to do...
Run. Repeat ourselves. Lemurs. Ready for next questions.
Then is to think about that function inside the same time. Now we did say we want this 3 seconds after, and if you'll remember, the same time.
That's it. I thought there was going to be a way to do it. Like, we do not need to repeat ourselves.
We want this pop-up to appear 1.5 seconds after the user opens the page. So just as they're starting to find the content really interesting, bam! This annoying thing blocks their view. So the first part of achieving this is to set the timer for the 1.5 second delay. So in this challenge, we're not actually going to deal with this pop-up yet, we're just going to focus on that time delay.
I got
so
that.
Here is your challenge.
Body snatcher.
I want you to log out the phrase modal open after a 1.5 second delay. Pause now.
Oh, that's easy. We do set timeout to a function. I wish I can call this something else, but right now we have only function. So we do console log, and then boop, module opens. Got the body check. Then we do 1.5, right? So 1,500. Please, yes. Now we run. There we go.
Get that sorted, and after the pre-marked that is actually...
Right, it's easy. Easy stuff.
Okay, let's talk about how we can dynamically target an element style with JavaScript using element.style. So until now, if we wanted something to appear in the DOM or disappear from the DOM or be updated in some way, we've grabbed the element, we've probably set its inner HTML property or its inner text property, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But if the change we want to make is basically stylistic, i.e. things that could be done with CSS, we can actually use JavaScript to access an element's style properties and change them dynamically from within our app. So, I'm building an animal trivia site here, and I want a user to be able to read a question and then see the answer when they click on reveal. So the question I've got is, how many whiskers does the average rabbit have? Well, we can see the answer right here in index.html. The average rabbit has 24 whiskers, 12 on each side. Amazingly, no two whiskers are the same length. You learn a lot at Scrimba. Now, I want to be able to see that in this app when I hit this reveal button, and at the moment I can't. This div with the answer has got the class and ID of answer. Well, let's have a look in index.css, and if we go to the answer selector, answer has a display of none. If we took that away, the answer appears. So that's basically what we want to do with JavaScript. We want to change.
So we basically just time out this answer thingy and then set it to display something, display fix, right?
Change display none to display something else. Probably display block. That would do the trick. Okay, so in index.js, I have got an event listener already set up on this button right here. So every time I click the button, this event listener is going to fire. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to target this answer element. So it's this element with the ID of answer. Now I've done that, inside this event listener, I can take answer, and now I can access the style properties of answer. So answer is the element, and we are going for element.style. So I'm going to say answer.style.display, because it is the display property that we want to change, and I'm going to set that display property.
Okay. So we do, there's another JavaScript definition. Should we just go up here and then we do, call this some definition. Hello. DG Comedies. How you doing? DG Comedies. Right, we do some definition and then we do JavaScript. Here's some set timeout. It's going to do display do the function after amount of delay, just basically translated into normal human language. Element style is basically to modify it, targeting an element style, which basically is to modify it. Target and modified if needed. Element dot style target and modified if needed. a style within JavaScript. Usually CSS within JavaScript, right?
Equals to, now inside this string, I'm basically going to write whatever I would put in the CSS right here. So let's try going for display block. Now, when I press answer, well then.
So usually this is going to be like this. Right, we do this, so it's going to be fucking bitch. Hey, come on. So we do this, and then we do another elements. You want to target. Alright, dot style dot display dot style dot the style that you want to display that you want to modify. Right, examples. It's going to be answers. There's need to be dot answer. Yep, answer dot style dot display equal block. Right.
There we are, the answer appears. And as you already know, the rabbit has got 24 whiskers. This rabbit, by the way, in the picture doesn't have 24 whiskers. It's not a real picture of a rabbit, it's just one an artist made. Okay, so let's just refresh the page and go back to our original state. And now I've got a challenge for you. So firstly, when the button is clicked and the answer is revealed, which we've already done here, I want you to change the background color and the text color just on the question div. So that is this div right here in gray. I want you to change the background color, and you've got the hex here, and the text color to this hex just on that div. Now I've put a little warning here. You're going to run into a problem with the background color. See if you can find the solution by Googling. It's a really quick 20-second.
Run into a problem.
Secondly, when the answer is revealed, we don't need this reveal answer button anymore. So how about we make that button disappear? Okay,
that's easy.
Now,
We just do reveal buttons dot advanced listeners and click. Then the style is going to change, and then reveal btn.style dot ddos display equal, use this hiddens. Boop. Right, now that is hiddens. When the button is clicked, reveal change the background colors of the text color to in the question div. Question. There we go. We do class. Oh, questions. Const question equal document dot get element by ID. It's going to be this questions and then questions dot style dot display style dot font size. What is it? Question background colors. Background colors equal, what is it? Oh yeah, computer. This we do hash, then we put it in a bracket here as well. Background, we don't need background colors, right? Then questions, the same things. Text dot style dot colors equal to this. Ay. Computer is getting a little bit slow. Right, so we do, wow, run it again, boom, let's go, ole.
Just a moment.
You like the music? Yep.
Okay, so hopefully you managed to do that just fine. So firstly, we need to take control of one more element. So let's just copy answer, and I'm going to set this one up as basics. In such a way. Let's just see if this has worked. And there we are, we're getting the background color to a blue, which matches this one. So none in there. Okay, we have. Okay, so now let's make this modal box appear when the 1.5 seconds that we've already set with this set timeout have passed. So here's your challenge. I want you to take control of the modal div with JavaScript. Now what I mean by that is use JavaScript to get that modal element by its ID.
Take control of
the
module
by the way, and I want you
with
to set
JavaScript.
it to a const. Now you can see the modal over here in index.html. It is this div right here, and it has the ID of modal. Now, if you're feeling a bit rusty on taking control of elements with JavaScript, take a bit of time to Google it. Googling is a really important part of learning to code, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. So, pause now, complete this.
Take control of the module and div with JavaScript. Swap out our console log for a line of code, which will change the CSS display property of our module to inline. Take control. Okay, so we do this, right? Module is going to be here. We do const module, then document.get element by ID, get element by ID, then we do this, boop, then we do swap out the console log, right? Then we do change the CSS display. So we do module set timeout is going to do that. So dot style dot display equal going to be inline. So after 1.5 seconds, the module will be displayed into inline. This code will set the display inline. Wait, so the I haven't been talking for a while. Right, so this module at the beginning has a display called, I'm assuming, hiddens or none, display none, right? So right here we have the display none, position fix. Right, so at the beginning it has a display none, and so this code, what does this code do is basically after 1.5 seconds is going to change the module display property from none to inline, but it only works after 1.5 seconds because we coded here it's going to have a delay of 1.5 or 1500 milliseconds, which is a pretty good
challenge. Get this working, and I'll see you back here in just a moment.
Right, let's see if it works. Run. Right, 3. Yep, there we go.
Okay.
So pop up is going to be JavaScript.
Okay, so hopefully you got that sorted out just take
hello.
This mobile element, I'm going to say const, and I'm just going to call this const.
Boom. How did you close the module? Right,
okay,
on click. Then we set this buttons on click. I'm assuming that's how it works. Let's go to module on click X. Then buttons on click. Add event listeners. Click X. Basic stuff. But first we go into our code dictionary, which is like a JavaScript. Then we change this code. What did we do before this? To set it. Ole, 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 ole. Ole, 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 ole. So we do basic stuff. We do this pop up, get element by class name, pop, copy this, pop up, set a function called this. Okay, there we go. Ole, 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 ole. Do this, pop up, style, display inline, has a display none, display none, right? slash slash. Oi, computers. Slash slash this block of code is to change the display none and the initial state to display inline after this 1.5 seconds. Right. Alright, mates.
So our next goal is to make this modal box disappear when the X is clicked. So we've got this button already, and if we have a look over at the HTML, that button has got this ID of modal close VTN. So here's your challenge. I want you to take control of that close button, and then I want you to use an event listener to set the
Alright, take control of this. So we do const. Should we just use the same name or close pop up equal document dot get element by ID. And we do this, then we do this, boop. Alright, use add event listeners, it's going to be click, close pop up dot add event listeners. Right, hey computers, don't be naughty computer, don't be naughty. So we do click, then we do function, then we do this, then we do that, and we boop. To display the module property when to none when button is clicked. So module display inline none. That's simple, easy peasy lemon squeezy.
display property of that modal to none when the close button. So you best come over to, we're just going to by ID, so we can explore that function. Okay, let's hit.
Alright, let me run this. Let's see if this block code works. Right. Boop. There we go.
And see what happens. Wait until we've harvested their data. Ready for that? I'll back, and we're going to move on to putting a form in our to wait until we've harvested their data.
Right. So now copy this. Pop it into our here. Right, mates. Right. Then we copy all the HTML. No, we just copy the module. Copy this. Where is it? Boop. Boop. Hey. There we go. There we go. There we go. CSS module. Module. Left, right, something, something. Yep. There we go. So now we compile it onto here. How do I make it a drop down? Drop down. A drop down toggle list. Boop 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 boop. Boop 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 boom 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 boom. What the fuck? Pop up module. Call this module. Dun, 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 dun. Oh. Right. Move on.
So we will be revisiting this a little bit later. Okay, this is a really good time to take a break. When you're feeling refreshed, come back and we're going to move on to putting a form in our modal pop-up. When you're ready for that, I'll see you there. Forms. Wherever you go on the internet, you're never too far from a form, whether it's logging into email.
Let's do this and we call this form toggle list. Where is it? Form. Good. Very good.
Mail, leaving feedback, making a reservation. Forms are everywhere. So let's take a look at how we make forms and how we can get some input from our users. What I've got here is an element from NASA's intranet where astronauts can log in and then they can select what freeze-dried meals they want to take up with them to the International Space Station and deal with other sort of pre-launch administrative tasks. Now we are going to make the element so it looks like this, but in the first instance we just want to concentrate in on these three input fields: the astronaut name, the astronaut email, or to build the form. Now, just like most things in HTML, forms live in form tags. Let's just create an opening form tag, and then of course we need to close the form tag. If I hit save now, not much is going to happen. We're going to get this little outline here, and that is just because I've already written some CSS which goes on the form. Now our form is going to need three inputs, and inputs likewise have tags. So let's come in here and I'm going to set up an input tag. Input tags are self-closing. We don't need to close them like we do other tags. You might well see a slash at the end like that. Quite a common thing to do. It's actually not essential. Now we need to give inputs various properties, and one really important one is the type property. Now what I've got on this slide is a screenshot from W3 Schools, and it's actually a link. If you want to, you can click on it and go through to the page and read a bit more in detail. But what we've got here is a list of all of the different HTML input types. Quite a lot of them, but don't worry, we are not going to be using them all in this scrim or even in this project. We're going to focus in on just these 4. So we've got the input with the type of text. That is useful for something like a username where people are just going to write in basics of letters A to Z, numbers, and of course some punctuation, etc. We've also got special ones for email and password, and then we've got this one with an input type of submit, and we're going to come on to that a little bit later in another scrim. But the first input field in this app is actually this one here, it's astronaut name, and so this one can have a type of text. So let's come down in here, and I'm just going to use quotation marks, and I'll just put text in there. So it's input type equals text. And now when I hit save, we see we have got our input box and I can type something in there. Now I'm going to give this input a label. If we have a look at the screenshot, the label here is astronaut name and an astronaut emoji. So I'll come down here and inside the form tag and just above this input type, I am going to open a label tag, and that does need to be closed. And we can just put the label right in here. So that was astronaut name and the astronaut emoji. Again, we'll save, and there we are. We have got our label. Does it look the same? I think we just need a capital letter here. Okay, now it's really good for user experience if the user can click on the label and have that bring the input into focus and have the cursor right there waiting for them in the input. Now that is not happening at the moment, but we can make that happen. And we need to do that by linking this label to this input. The first thing we need is a way of identifying this input, and what better way to identify something than with an ID property. So let's set the ID to astronaut name. Now I'm going to come up to this label tag, and I'm going to make it clear that this label is for this input field. And I do that with the for property. So in there, I can just say it is for, and then I want the ID of astronaut name. Let's hit save and click on astronaut name, and there we are. The input comes into focus and the cursor immediately starts flashing right there, ready to type. That is good user experience.
Good
now, we're not
user
quite done with
experience.
properties. We need another one in here called name, and this one we are going to use when it comes to actually accessing the data from the form. And I'm going to also just call this one astronaut name. And as we're stretching out across the page, I'm just going to bring these down onto their own line, so it just makes it a little bit easier to read. And also because actually we need to make space for one more property, if we have a look back here, well, you can see we have got some placeholder text. And we can add the placeholder text with the placeholder property. So that is placeholder, and I'll just set that equals to Neil Armstrong. Now let's hit save, and there we are. We've got the first part of the form looking good. Okay, it's time for a challenge. Give me 1 second while I type it out. Okay, so add inputs for the email and password fields. Remember to add all necessary properties. So we've got what we want right here. We've got the astronaut email and the password, and we've got the placeholder text as well. The placeholder here is just 6 asterisks. Secondly, give the inputs labels and make it so that clicking on the label brings the corresponding input into focus, just like we did here. So pause now, have a go at that, and I'll see you back here in just a moment.
Add the email. Oh, that's easy. Type text, input labels. We copy 3 of this, and we do boop. Hey, boop, boop, and then we do change astronaut names. Call this password. Password type. Password name astronaut name. What? Astronaut name. There's going to be password. Email first. Right, we do name, password, computer, placeholders. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Password. Then we call this Control D, Control D, change it to emails. Type emails. Neil Armstrong at gmail.com Armstrong at gmail.com, and then we do emails. Then we copy this, place it on top of password like that. Then we do run.
Okay, so hopefully you managed to do that just fine. So we can actually copy everything that we've got here, and I'm going to do that twice. So I'm going to start off then with the astronaut email. So everything we've got here where we've got name, we can change to email. Let's do that all in one go. So now the label is for astronaut email. We've got the ID of astronaut email and the name property of astronaut email. Now the placeholder text here needs to change. That was just n.armstrong@nasa.com. And of course we need to change this type property from text to email. Okay, let's save and see what we've got. Okay, the second one is looking pretty good. Exactly the same as we've got on the slide. So let's deal with the third one. So again, we're just...
Oh shit, it's fuck. It's remembering my password. Wait, what is the name for?
And pop in there. Now I'm just open the astronaut placeholder text. And as we're stretching out across the page, I'm just going to bring you and click on astronaut name, and there we are. The input comes into focus and the cursor immediately starts flashing right there, ready to type. That is good user experience. Now we're not quite done with properties. We need another one in here called name, and this one we are going to use when it comes to actually accessing the data from the form. And I'm going to also just call this one astronaut name.
Really important.
As we're stretching out across the page, I'm just going to bring these down onto their own rules for a challenge. We've got that, and we'll do that 3 times. Right?
Oh. At a form 1.
Okay, so now our focus needs to be on the form that we can see right here. Eventually we're going to have 2 buttons underneath it, but our aim for this screen is just to set up the form and get these 2 inputs. And we're not actually going to worry about submitting the form in this screen. It's just going to give us 2 inputs that the users can write in. Okay, here's your challenge. I want you to create a form using form tags, add 2 inputs, one for name and one for email address. Give each input type, name and placeholder properties, and you can see what the placeholder text should be right here in this screenshot. Okay.
Just 2 input fields, no need labels, so no big deal. No, not a big deal at all. form. Do this, and we do input ID. Call this last name, first name, full name, and then this is type text, blah 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 blah, name, full name. What else? Oh, placeholders. We do enter your name here. Slash input. I don't think we need a closing tag for that, so we do the same things. Then we do emails, type emails, name emails. Well, the name is really important. Enter your emails here, full name. Run this.
Pause now. If you want to do that, the name modal pod can't do anything with this. We can't submit the form, but that's absolutely fine. See you in the next script. So we need a way of submitting a form, and we're also going to look at some basic validation of our input. Now usually a form is going to have some kind of submit button, just like the one I've got here on this screenshot. And there are actually two ways of making this submit button. We can use a special input type, or we can use a regular HTML button. Let's have a quick look at both of those in action. So over in the code, if I come down to the bottom of the form element, I'm going to set up a new input, and I am going to give this one a type of submit. Now if I hit save, there we are, we have got our submit button. Now this red and white color scheme is because I've already written some CSS for this. Let's just check then if